Good morning and welcome to Angel's Haven. So I started outside so you could hear the birds, and now we're inside the house, and there's my new love seat, which is the impetus for this video. I got a message from one of my siblings saying, "You have a new love seat? Do you have room for a love seat?" And I said, "Well, I rearranged the floor plan of the house." His reply was, "Isn't this a new house and didn't you design it?" Both true. Well, it's 2 years old and I sort of designed it. So the purpose of this video is to talk about design changes driven by 2 years of living tiny. When I was outside, you saw the back cupboard of the house, and you saw my porch and my deck. The porch and the deck were additions that really made a big difference in living tiny. Anybody that lives in 200 square feet knows that outdoor living makes a huge difference. What you're looking at right now is a sitting area. When I first designed my house, I had a built-in bed put in this area. If you look at prior videos of my house, you'll see it. My thinking was that being disabled, it would be good to have a bed on the first level. I thought the visitors would treat the bed like a day bed during the day, and they didn't. So that was kind of problematic. Nobody would sit on what they perceived as my bed. It might be that if I lived in some other community with maybe van life people or people that were less traditional in their backgrounds, they might be a little more open to the idea of sitting on someone's bed, but the people I know here were not open to it. So I decided to tear that out, and at the same time as I reinstalled new floors or had them installed. Originally, my floors were all this laminate, and they were buckling and bubbling a little bit, and I was worried that they would develop mold under the surface where it was bubbling. So now I have life-proof floors, and they are awesome, and I feel as though they make the whole place look more like a house. I've talked about that before. The reason I did a tiny house instead of an RV or a mobile home or a trailer was I wanted to live in a house, and I wanted to have real furniture. So that's why I went with a tiny house. So in terms of design changes, the biggest design change I've made is to go from having a bed platform on the first floor and no sitting area to speak of except for the bed, to having a sitting area, and now I have my writing loft changed into a bedroom. You can see my bed and my desk there. Originally, what was up in the writing loft was my desk, the rocking chair that you saw on the front porch, and my bookshelf, which is now down here. I liked having the writing loft, but my original thought was that I would go upstairs and sit in the rocking chair and read, and I found that I just didn't do that. The weather here is so beautiful that where I go out to read is outside. So now the rocking chair is on the front porch. It will have to be weatherproofed. So that was a big design change, possibly, I would say, the biggest that I've made. So I've made other changes, and all of these have to do with living in a small space for 2 years and learning what you need. Originally, I had 2 shelves, one for dishes, one for food. They are now both on that wall, and they have dishes and I had that cabinet built. That was a big change that I made. That has made a big difference in my life. I mean, not earth-shattering, not the stuff of documentaries, but in terms of everyday comfort, that has made a big difference in my life. I can have more food on hand. It stays more organized. I'll pause well, here, let me pause and go forward and open the cupboard. So as you can see, I put in a modular shelf, and now my food is organized and much more usable than it was. Another change that I made, very small but impactful. Originally, this sink had a design flaw or an execution flaw. The builder had miscut the sink. I see my sink is dirty, sorry about that. He had miscut the sink without telling me. He put a temporary slip in here. The glue came off, and so I was left with a hole along here. I'm sure if I had still been in Missouri, my builder could have been persuaded to fix it, but here I am in California. So I had the same person that did the floors and built the cabinet tile this. This was one of the first things I had done. Gosh, I really need to clean my sink. But at any rate, it fixed the problem of the hole, but it also looks amazing. At the same time, so the builder did not talk to me about what wood I wanted on the cabinet doors, and what wood he gave me was pretty cheap plywood. And so this is wood from my house in Kansas City, and Derek Campbell, who did the tile work and the floor replacement and built the cupboard, also used the wood from my house in Kansas City to make this trim, and we put the new knobs on. He put the new knobs on. Really, really smart. The thing about my builder is, if he had told me you need to pay more than I bid to have these better grade of flooring and cabinetry, I would have probably done it, but he didn't. So, moral of the story, talk to your builder. Another change I made was adding that cupboard up there. It currently has extra linens in it. I probably have too many linens, but the cupboard really made a nice addition. Anybody staying and hanging out in the sleeping loft can use that cupboard, at least to rest a suitcase. The drawer is empty, the cupboard could be emptied. So adding that gave me additional storage. As you can see, I don't worry too much about a specific furniture design. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you live in a tiny space for a couple of years, you learn what works, what doesn't work, and you change things accordingly. Those changes make a big difference in a tiny space. Changes I'd like to make in the future, obviously I have to get rid of the world's biggest throw pillow collection, but I'm thinking of that sleeping loft. You know, I have company once or twice a year and they sleep there. Certainly I could have company more often, but I'm wondering if that's the best use of that space. I might put a roll-up futon up there. That futon that's up there is a pretty expensive futon. Doesn't really roll up very well. If I had a less expensive one, I could roll it up. I could use that loft in a different way. Who knows? When I moved in the love seat yesterday, I rearranged art. The angel shelves were in a different place, and all the art you see there was originally on the stairwell, and the art that's currently on the stairwell was on that wall behind the where the love seat is now. Changing up your space really, really, really influences the way you feel about where you are. And as I said, in a tiny space, it can make a dramatic difference. So there you have it, my tiny house right now. I know another design change that I really don't know what to do about. I don't think there's anything to be done about it. So originally that window was supposed to be about 2 feet to the right of where it is, and the table, in my mind, was going to be mounted on the wall and come perpendicular to the kitchen. Obviously that couldn't happen. My thought was that a chair could be on either side of it. Derek built this bench, again from wood that came from my house in Missouri, and it works sort of. It's a little awkward, but it's a beautiful table. I have no complaint with the table, but it's a little awkward. I haven't figured out exactly how to solve that problem. Another problem that I have is, for me as a disabled person, it's hard to get up the stairs with the table down, but having to put the table up every time I want to go upstairs is kind of a hassle. Again, first world problem, not a big deal, but that's a design issue that I've been thinking about. I've also been thinking about whether or not to replace that curtain with a door. Derek and Kelly were talking about putting doors on the cubbies in their house, and I think that would be a smart idea. I would lose a couple inches unless I build it out. I might. Another thing I've been thinking about, where that wicker cabinet is in the middle cubby, I've been thinking about having drawers built to maximize the space. Another design change that I've been thinking about. So there you have it. I keep threatening to finish this video, but it's already 14 minutes long, and I don't want to bore everybody. So, my tiny house, my tiny life. I've been very blessed that I can work during this shelter in place, and also have taken some time to feel more comfortable in Angel's Haven. I hope wherever you are, you're comfortable and safe and loved, and that you can afford the living comforts that I can afford, and I'm very blessed to be able to afford. And thanks for spending a few minutes of my tiny life with me. And think about changes you can make in your house or apartment or wherever you live to make yourself feel a little more like home. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.